further, we are from the first group and we want to explain you about translation equivalence by Catfort 1965. So please watch this video until the end. And I'm Jessica, here we are. Okay, now we are going to formal equivalence and textual equivalence. A further distinction must be made between textual equivalence and formal correspondence. A textual equivalence is any target language, text or portion of text which is observed on a particular scenes by methods will be described below and to be the equivalent of a given source language. Text or portion of text, formal correspondence, or on the other hand, is any target language, category, unit, class, structure, element of structure, and extra, which can be said to occupy as nearly as possible the same place in the economy of the as the given source language category occupies in this source language. Since every language is ultimately sui generis, its categories being defined in terms of relations holding within the language itself, it is clear that formal correspondence is nearly always approximate. And next, a textual translation equivalent that is any target language form, text or portion of text, which is observed to be equivalent of a given source language form, text or portion of text. The discovery of textual equivalence is based on the authority of a competent bilingual informant or translator. Thus, to find the French textual equivalent of the English text, "My son is 6," we ask a competent translator to put this into the target language French. He supplies "Mon fils a 6 ans." Then, this is the textual equivalent "My son is 6." We may repeat this process in any portion of the full text, asking, for instance, for the French equivalent, or translator supplies the equivalent "Mon fils." The next will be explained by my friend Fitri Pandiangan.
I'm Fitri from the first group. I want to continue Jessica's explanation. In place of asking for equivalence, we may adopt a more formal procedure, namely cumulation and observation of concomitant variation. In other words, we may systematically introduce change into the SL text and observe what change, if any, occurred in the TL text as a consequence. A textual translation equivalence is thus that portion of a TL text which is changed when and only when a given portion of the SL text is changed. In our present example, having had "My son is 6" translated into French, we might ask for the translation of "Ton docteur is 6." The TL text this time is "Votre fille a 6 ans." The changed portion of the TL text, "Mon fils" or "Votre fille," is then taken to be the equivalent of the changed portion of the SL text, "My son" or "Your doctor." Next. In simple cases like the above, one generally relies on one's own knowledge of the language involved. This is the only thing one can do with a recorded text when the original translator is not present. In such a case, the investigator acts as his own informant and discovers textual equivalence intuitively by drawing on his own experience without necessarily going through another procedure of commutation. Nevertheless, commutation is the ultimate text for textual equivalence, and it is useful in cases where equivalence is not of the simple equal rank and not and unit-to-unit type illustrated above. In dialogue public, for example, given the English is L, text the woman came out of the house, and its Russian TL equivalent, Jenchina Vysla, is the mu. We might wish to discover the Russian equivalent of the English defined article in the group the woman in this text. Commutation might give the following result. Is alt text 1, the woman came out of the house. TL text 1, Jenchina Vysla is the mu. Is L text 2, a woman came out of the house. TL text 2, is the mu Vysla Tenshina. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for my partner Fitri Pandian, and now I will explain you in our last slide. In our material, we will thus establish that in this particular text, the change of English the to a is correlated with the change in the sequence of elements in the structure of the Russian clause. We can state this textual equivalence as in English the in noun at as Russia SPA and list in noun at as Russia SPA. This may be read as English the, a term in system operating a normal group at the place in clause structure subject has as its Russian translation equivalent the indicated sequence subject, predicator, and junction of elements in the Russian clause structure and further. English a term and an extra has its translation equivalent. The is sources sequence of elements in the Russian clause. So we think that's all our material from the first group, and see you next time. Bye bye.